doing today? I know somebody will say, I can't see your face. I just feel like being on the face cap gang this period, so I think my face can be seen now. Okay, so in the last class, I did promise. By the way, how are we? How have we followed through with the revision? And my advice for last class, I did advise that we should see how much we can work on practicing what we've learned, as that will help us to get used to every term. Giving the example of a friend or a colleague that says, oh, I want to learn Chinese, and I'm like, you want to learn Chinese, and you walk around Chinese, and I've taught you the nitty gritty, which you could actually use for the initial conversation with the Chinese, and that will even give you opportunity to practice, because whatever you learn in class, you can go and try to practice it on site, and before you know, you're catching up. And that was what informed my need for revision, particularly because this is the first quarter. So I thought it's necessary to, do a kind of revision, not just class, 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 class. And unfortunately, if this was more like a real-time class, what I mean by that is I can get feedback immediately. It would have been nice to get feedback, but since it's a recorded class, I will have to check the comments to see if there are feedbacks and then revise. But like I promised last time, I would want to revise the first quarter and some of the things we've done, and also encourage us and give us at least insight of what the next class will be. At the beginning of the class, I recall telling us that as much as possible, the introduction was done, and then we went through the finals, the initials, and the tones, and the importance of these three things to spoken Chinese or even written Chinese, as the case may be, and then we went into conversations. Going forward is going to mostly be like conversations, culture, and some other things. And like I said, if it's possible, I may have a recording probably on my project site if I can, where you see me interacting with the Chinese, and then you see how the communication goes, just to bring us out of the normal regular class and putting some different spice into it. And we'll see how that goes, if it's possible, and if I'll get permission from the Chinese, because they are also guided by some rules. Their bosses may stumble across it and say, oh, who gave these guys the authorization to be on the video? But if they don't mind being on the video, I will probably do one of such in my project site, and that will probably be one of the classes that I would show in the second, third quarter if I get that opportunity. But going by what I said last week we spoke about the Ni Hao. That was part of the revision apart from the finals. And remember in our lesson 5, 6, we did no 5, 6 and 7, I think it was 6 and 7. We moved from ni hao, which was the conventional greeting, like the first greeting, the first thing you should learn in Chinese. Just like in English, when you meet someone, you should know the good morning, the good afternoon, the good evening, the hello. It's important because conversation is one important thing, communication is one important thing in human life. And when you go to a new place and you need to talk to somebody, the first thing you need to learn are the courtesy words. And in Chinese, ni hao is one of the courtesy words to bring you into the hello. And then the second courtesy word would be thank you, which is xie xie. And the third courtesy word would be see you later or bye bye, which is zaijian. So we spoke about that. So now the revision 2 is going to be on some of the conversations we've done. Conversation lesson 2 was Han Yu Bu Tainan. That was the title. And in this place we learn new words like mang, new words like new words like Anyu, new words like nan, new words like bu, new words like tai. Those were some of the words we learned in the during the class 2. So we just want to revise it. Like I said, we're not just going to go on and on and on. The room for revision so that we can also breathe and catch up and have opportunity to ask questions. In that class, we discussed ni mangma, and I said ni mangma means are you busy? 很忙 means very busy. 汉语难吗 means Is Chinese difficult? Chinese language difficult? 不太难. Means not so difficult. So, why are we saying this? When you go out, after you say the hello, hello, other words will come in. Words to buy things in the market. Like when I was in China, for example, the words I needed to learn quickly were words that has to do with commerce. How much is this? What is the last price, or what is the best price? And how many kilos, and then the names of fruits, the names of food items, the names of things I needed to buy. Because in the class, yes, we talked about class things, but as we went out, then places like banks, post office, supermarkets, local markets. Then I also wanted to learn about adjectives, vowels, and things like that. Those things didn't happen immediately, but those were my interests. So when I go to the market, whenever they teach me anything in class, and I know I can use it in the market, I'm just going to try to speak and see how it works. So in class, definitely you're trying to, they would ask you, you go out of the class, you see Chinese people, and when they want to get close to you, hello, you study Chinese, for those who could speak English a bit. If you say yes, then is it hard or something like that? For those who can't speak, they assume you can speak English, and you can speak Chinese, and they just go into speaking Chinese. So if you've learned something in class, it was a beautiful time to practice, practice, practice. And that was it. So ni mangma is like, are you busy? Maybe you want somebody to help you do something. And like, are you busy, please? And the person say, very busy. Of course, it means you can't interrupt what the person is doing at that time. Han Yun Nanma, they know you're a Chinese student, and they're like, oh, is Chinese language difficult? And you're like, Butainan, not so difficult. I think those were my own responses at that time. Writing was a bit more difficult. Now with the computer system, I don't consider it difficult. But if you're going to write exam, I don't know if it has changed, but those days we used to write with our hands. So I don't know now if they've changed. No need to write with your hands anymore. Just type and you're fine. If they do that, good. But if it's still writing wasn't funny at all. Really, it wasn't really funny. Because I can identify the characters looking at it when I type. But if you ask me to write, then I have to really, really. It's not enough to memorize the pin. You have to memorize the character as well, and then remember the strokes so that you can write correctly. So you might even know how to speak it, but if you miss the stroke, you might be writing something else. So that's the thing about the writing. So new words, mang, busy, ma. I discussed the last time. It means particle, hun. If you can see the pin, like I said, when we learn the new words, please let's look at the pin and the character for identification. So in case we want to write something to a Chinese friend, you could have a Chinese friend that is celebrating his or her birthday. If you write in Chinese, it's going to be exciting. Or sometimes just on your social media platform, just write some Chinese language, and it's interesting. I remember on my birthday, my the IT officer always loved to write wish me happy birthday, long life and sound health in Chinese language. He does that often. He did that last year, he did that this year as well. And I know he does that because he knows I will read it and I understand what it means. So imagine I have Chinese friends as well. When it's their Chinese New Year, I don't wish them Happy New Year, except very few. I write Happy New Year, but others I write it in Chinese or copy from a Chinese message that was sent to me that I have read and understood, because I could copy something that was said last year. And in Chinese, they have 12 months, which represent 12 animals. So they could have sent you the year of the goat. And because you don't know it's sorry, the year of the dog, and because you don't know it's the year of the dog or the dog year, you are now in the horse year. And then you just copy and paste it. The person will be like, oh, where is this coming from? So it will be confusing. And every year has its own significant greeting. So it's really very interesting, the culture and all that. So one of these days, the class will be Chinese culture. So we'll come to that probably in the next quarter. Yeah, that will be in April. Probably the first, second, or third class will be. It could be the last class when I would have time to really, because to be honest, my April is really tight. My children are going on holiday, just a bit of, and so I probably will have a lot of mommy duties to do at that time. But it's okay, it's fun. I'll find time to do these classes. So Han, then you have Han Yu, you have Nan, you have Tai, you have Baba, you have mama, you have ta, 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 ta. I discussed this last time. I said the three tas. There is a ta that is used for it, for object. There is a ta that is for male, and there is a ta that is for female. And they are different. The characters are different, the pronunciation is the same. The characters are different, but the pronunciation is the same. The tone is the same. The character is different. Only the characters are different. You have nan, another nan, that is the same pronunciation, the same tone, the same vowels and consonants or finals and initials. The characters are different. If you don't know that, that's difficult and male has the same character, different characters, the same pronunciation, the same tone, the same finals, the same whatever. If you don't know the difference, you could use it. Is a male child. If you could go and write is a hard child. I hope you still know that makes sense. But that may not be what you're trying to say. Oh, I have a male child. What you now are, you know, that's what you try to say. If you say it, the person can understand what you're saying. However, when you write it and you still want to say what your nan are, and you put nan there, the person would not think what you're trying to say is male child. He will feel you're just trying to tell them that your child is difficult. You have a difficult child. So you can see how missing the characters can actually make you miss the message that you're trying to, or mistake the message you're trying to pass across. That's why it is very important to identify the characters, different characters for each pinyin or whatever. Because sometimes, look at the ta for the male now. If you want to use ta and it's a male you're talking about, if you write the female ta, the person automatically thinks what you're talking about is for a female. If you want to use it for it and you use a male, that's an inanimate object, and use a male character, the person, see, Chinese, the way, except the few that are enlightened, or if they are your friends, that's what I'm trying. If they are your friends, they could call you to like, is this a mistake or something? Now, but generally, you might not be doing this maybe for your friends. You might be doing this maybe to develop your spoken Chinese and discuss either at work, or who knows, develop to be an interpreter of some sort in small scale as you begin to grow more into bigger things. You can't afford to make this kind of mistake. You will send the wrong message and you may not have the time to correct it. So please, let's pay attention to the characters. Let's pay attention to the vowels. Let's pay attention to the initials and finals and the tone and the character if we are going to be dealing with writing. Now, when you speak, you might want to worry more about your tone when it's just spoken Chinese. You might want to worry more about your tone, because when you use a different tone, you could send a different message. You get what I'm trying to say? For example, if you want to say butai, should I use that? You want to use ba, and maybe the ba you're trying to say is your father, baba. Baba is the fourth tone down, or baba, you know. But instead of that, you say, well, baba. Your baba means my pull. That could mean something else to the Chinese, because to pull means ba, which is the second tone, but baba is the fourth tone. So when it's just spoken Chinese, your worry will be pronunciation. Now there is this pronunciation that if you say extend my greetings to your friend, to maybe your father, there's a word you could say ni wen baba hao. Ni wen baba hao. The tone is like the first tone. Now, if you make the mistake ni wen baba hao, it could mean kiss. The same, that's when it's spoken Chinese. You worry more about the tone because nobody see what you're writing, so what you say is what they get. So if you miss the tone, you send a different message. Meanwhile, for writing, you worry more about ensuring that the character you're writing is correct. If you miss the character, you send the wrong tone. Gaga, Didi, May. So those are just samples, and these are new words, and these are words that tells you the combination. I did say in one of the lessons that the Chinese language does not go with all, not all initials and finals can be used. For example, if you see T, there is nothing like a T-E-N in Chinese. There is a T-E-N-G, but there is no T-E-N. So some initials cannot go with some finals, and some finals cannot go with some initials. So you need to know those as well. You understand what I'm trying? You need to know what I'm trying to, because it's not like every word can go, you can mix it. No. There are some initials that some finals cannot work with. It won't go. Like you can see the whole of BANG, there's nothing like BANG. In English is bang, but there's nothing like that. PANG, there's nothing like that. MANG, MANG, there are two, I think this is, okay, sorry, it's O. BONG, sorry. PONG. Although they say ping pong, but ping pong does not occur. Just to tell you, they only use that tone for basketball. But in literal words, there may be no character for pong, and it doesn't mean anything. You know, it could just be some kind of slangs. They could use those kind of things, could be slangs, but not a Chinese character that means something that has a meaningful, or OMONG or FONG. But it can be some kind of slang. Someone can decide to make it a slang, but it's not a Chinese word. So you can see wherever you see nothing written, like LEN, there's nothing like that. That's why it's not there. So just thought to note that not all finals and initial mix are possible or available or done. Okay, so that's about that. Description of articulation. If you go through this thing, the neutral tone, those neutral tone are the tone that are silent. Like when you say mama, the first ma has the tone, the second one has nothing. It has no tone. It's just, then I said something like when you say ni ma, the ma at the end of that thing that makes it a question doesn't have a tone. Howda, the there is just something that is like just gives something like a full stop to a word. If you say howda, it means good. How means good. It means fine. It means okay. So just to put a bit of more stretch, you say just like in Nigeria, you say okay oh. The O there does not add anything to the word, but it just kind of stretches the word like okay oh, put some kind of attitude. Let me use that. So that's the same thing. Howda, Haoma, you know, those kind of words. Niman, some words are silent in Chinese. And then we had these examples of exercises where we did the different type of tars. I wish I could see the fourth tar to show. But it's still the same tar, like I said. They are all tar, 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 tar. And they are the first tone tar. And it's there. You have the man. So these tone exercises where you have the first, second, third tone, different characters, and then they put the characters and they tell you choose the right. When I was in school, this was what we did. They'll just give you all this in pinyin with the tones, and then they'll put the character. You need to test if you recognize which tone this character is. So you will be the one to select if it is A, B, C, or D. In this case, it is a B. Han is a C. Nan is a B because both the male Nan and the difficult Nan, they are the B. Then Han Yu is 4. Then U is the second tone. So Han there is the fourth tone, Han Yu. Then Baba is the fourth tone. Mama is the first tone. Gaga is the first tone. Mei is the fourth tone. And Didi is the fourth tone as well. So you can see from the pronunciation Didi. So for us to know then in school, because I don't have it all like this, they'll only just give you this part. They'll give you the 4 different tones, same words, but different tones. On the right side, they'll give you the character. So you will have to choose which one is correct. So if you've learned how to pronounce, you would know. Ta, you know that that's the first tone. Mang, you know that that's the second tone. Han, you know that's the third tone. Then Nan, you know that's the second tone. Han Yu, so you know that is the fourth tone for Han. Yu is the third tone. Then Baba, then you know that is the fourth tone and the silent tone. Mama, you know that's the first tone. Gaga, you know that's the first tone. Mei, you know that May, because I say if it's May, but I say May. So if it's May, I already know it's the fourth tone. And D. You know the way it goes, D. You can see the first one is D. So that's why the second pronunciation means nothing. And then that's that for all the words. So these were all revisions. We did that in lesson 6, I think, lesson 6 and lesson 6. And that was all. We did some revision. We spoke about new words. Please let's practice those new words. And then in the lesson 3, we spoke about 明天见. That was where I told you the third courtesy words, but in this one they didn't say zaijian. Mintianjian means see you tomorrow, see you later. Mintian means tomorrow, but in conversation I can say mintianjian could mean see you later. Literally, it could also mean see you tomorrow. So they had to bring up a conversation where this will be used. And one of it, still in the class, ni shui ying yu. We did this class before. This is just a revision. Ni shui ying yu ma, which means I study in Chinese. I mean English language. Bu, no, shui han yu. Chu beijing ma, dui. In that class, I did say that Chinese words are not as long as English words. For example, ni shui ying yu ma is, are you studying English language? Bu shuehanyu is so short, but it means a full sentence. If I take this literally, it means no, study Chinese. But if I were to say it in English, if I were to respond, are you studying English Chinese? If I should tell somebody, are you studying English language? The response will not be no, study Chinese. No, that would be incorrect English, incorrect grammar. But it will be like, no, I'm studying Chinese language. That would be the long sentence, right? But in Chinese, this bu Shuihanyu is a complete sentence. It's so complete and there is no error. Shu Beijingma, without putting ni, you know, if I want to ask the question in English, I will say, are you, there will be that you, I'm referring to somebody for heaven's sake. Say, are you going to Beijing? That's true Beijingma means, are you going to Beijing? That's what it meant. True Beijingma. True Shaoshima. True Shuishaoma. I don't need to put ni true for it to be a complete sentence in Chinese. As long as I'm communicating with somebody, you're in front of me, whatever I say, you know is directed to you. If it's not directed to you, I'm going to use she or he or them, so you will know it's not. So this is a complete sentence. You also need to know that about the Chinese language. As I said, we're going to be doing some things about culture and all that. So I will see how the culture changes the way things go. Do it as simple as it can be. Yes, that's it. So we came to the conversation. Nichu Yoju Ji Shin Ma. Are you going to the post office to post a letter? That's the question. Bu Chu. Chu Yin Hang Chu Chen. Mean I'm not going to the post office. But he didn't say I'm not going to the post office. In English, I would say I'm not going to the post office. But the response is I'm not going. I'm going to the bank to withdraw money. Now, but if it was English, say no. It's that they say no, I'm not. So it's just the same as no, I'm not. Or sometimes I say, no, I'm not going to the post office. I'm going to the bank to withdraw money, to get some money, something like that. And then they came with a maintain gen. That's usually the response. Somebody tells you maintain gen, you have to go. Somebody tells you bye bye, you bye bye. See you later. Maybe something like okay. When somebody says see you later, I say okay. But you don't tell the person, I think literally you don't respond back, see you later too. But when somebody tells you bye-bye, normal is bye-bye, you have to respond. See you tomorrow, you could also say okay, or you say see you tomorrow. But courtesy for Chinese, you repeat the same thing. These are new words. Shui means to learn, to study. Ying yu is English language. Alaboyu, Arabic language. Der yu is Russian language. Der yu is German language, sorry. Her yu is Russian language. Fa yu is French. Angwo yu is Korean language. Rui yu is Japanese language. Shibaya yu is Spanish language. So these are just some of the things they added to it to give you different languages. If you don't want to use English or Chinese and you want to form sentences, you could use other languages. Then you have due. Due means right, okay, correct, true. Maintain means tomorrow. Jen means see or look or something like that. Or if you want to use it in the vowel sound, to see, when somebody is to see. Chu means to go. Yoju, post office. G, it means to post, to mail, to send something. Shin means letter, mail. Yinhang is bank. Chu means to draw, to withdraw, to draw. Qian means money. So those are new words. Then we add the liu, qi, jiu. Liu means 6, figure 6. Qi, figure 7. Jiu means figure 9. Beijing, we already know that the pronunciation is Beijing, but we call it Beijing. Beijing, Beijing. That's the actual pronunciation. Beijing is a third tone, first tone. Beijing. So it's a third tone for Bei. Then Jin means first tone. So that's just to tell us. So we learned again how some initials and finals cannot be combined, and how some can be combined, So something like the B, the P, the M, the D, the T, the N cannot be mixed with AI. So there's not like BIA in Chinese. There's not like PIA. You can have PAI, but not PIA, but in other places, there are some words you can use those vowels for, and it means something. So we kept on and we went with the EU, which in the computer, if you're typing, you can't click, you can't press, you can't hold on U. You have to make it a V because of the double dots, which is EU, because of EU, like Liu, Liu, new. So it's a V. In the computer, when you're typing with your computer, if you want to do that, you have to click on V and not U. If you do U, it's going to give you something else. And that's it. We went on, did some little explanation on how these things mix, and we did the exercises to select to see if we are now familiar with characters and the right pinyin. This will help in writing. At this point, it is recognizing characters and their pinyin. On the computer, you're not going to have tones. You're just going to type the pinyin being the alphabet. You type them, and then if you've memorized the character, different characters will pop up. And when they pop up, you know the right one to choose. It is only, I did say at the beginning, only when you're speaking that the tone is important. When you're writing, recognizing the character is important because no tone on your keyboard, but recognizing the character would help. But when you're speaking, it is very important that you have the combination and the tone right. And we went on, and this time around there was no pin, just to be sure that we are able to recognize the character. And they said, Ni shui yin yu ma, bu shui han yu, ni chu beijing ma, dui, ni chu yo ju ma, bu chu yin hang chu chen, ming tian jian, ming tian jian. Just to see if you understand the characters. Now you can see the first time there was pin and character. But before the end of the class, it's expected that you would have memorized and get familiar with the words, the pronunciation, the characters, such that you can speak and you can recognize them. So once you can recognize this when you're typing, it's so easy for you to get them. And on this second side, you can see there is no character. So now they write only the pinyin and they want you to complete it. In this particular case, if you are to write it, you're to take note of the tone, the vowels, and the consonants. For example, ni shui yin yu ma. Look at the tones. Say bu. Shui, you have to write the XUE with the up tone, the second tone. Shui han yu. HANYU with HA. The A in the HA will be the fourth tone. Han yu. You will be third tone. Chu Beijing ma. Doi. Doi is the fourth tone. So that's just basically how it is, and they did. Min tian jian, and that's it. Ni chu yin hang ma, bu chu. Chu. Ni chu yo ju ma, bu chu. Chu yin hang, chu qian. You write that down. And then min tian jian. And then this is how to learn to write, to know which comes first. The dot first, the horizontal stroke, then the left stroke, then the right stroke. Where there is no dot, the horizontal comes first, then the next stroke. And this, the left stroke before the right stroke. For this, the left dot, the two right dot, and then the left dot, and then the cut. They have a lot of names. Hang, hon. I just tried to recognize how to write them. I didn't try to take it too much. And that's that on the third. That was where we stopped in the first quarter. Still going to repeat what I said. Chinese language, like every other language, is not. The Chinese people will tell you English is hard. The same thing if I probably go to, if I'm studying French, I probably will have that same feeling. I tried studying Italian language at the time in Nigeria. I did learn some words, but I couldn't continue, not just because I didn't have the base to practice, but I didn't practice as well. So if I had practiced that, whether independent or the mind is ready to take in anything as long as you practice. or maybe the interest isn't deep rooted, or let's say the person I was probably speaking it with most times left, so the interest died. So I would say we should continue practicing. If we do have interest in Chinese language, it would be nice to practice. And if there are questions, please drop it on the comment section and we'll pick it up from there. Thank you. See you in the second quarter, where we'll bring in some new things. We'll definitely continue with conversations. Definitely, we'll continue with conversations. And then from conversation, we'll have some chit chat moments in some other classes where we'll talk about Chinese culture, Chinese ways. And so that when you find yourself in a Chinese party or something, you know how to, what's courtesy, what to expect, and some things will not be bizarre to you. Thank you. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Please don't forget to ask questions. Auntie P is here to respond to any questions. And if I can't answer them, trust me, I'll get somebody who would answer them for you. Till we meet again. Bye for now.